about that. I've been running around like a chicken all morning and everything kind of piled up. Realized when I read hit the go button, I hadn't preset up the go get button. Hey, it's Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Happy drama. Welcome to drama. And I am Dave Russell. You don't ask me anything, put them together, and you get drama. Nothing dramatic today. Not a good week. Hope you had a good week. You're not in Florida. A creature of checklists. I'm a creature of habits, but I use checklists to bolster those habits. I have a checklist that I start running at 1 o'clock. I think of all my stuff that I've done before that, and at 1 o'clock, the key steps that I'm ready for the step. It takes all of 2 3 minutes. The next checklist happens at 1:30 and 1:45 and 1:50 and so forth. And all of these things should be done. The point of the checklist is to check the thing in practice. But today I was using it reactively instead of proactively. Oh, I haven't done that yet. I was doing one thing and then this technique is doing it. So apologize if it comes off a little disjointed. It took me forever to figure out projects for this week. I think you've got to check. Yeah. Oh, you don't have to learn a little bit of Greek. You know where yeah, okay. Today is Friday, September 11th. Certainly goes much deeper than some Check, 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 nothing there. How about here? Check, oh, there we go. Check, check, check. All right, I will bet that that is much louder. I'm hearing an echo internally, so you know we gotta have something going on here. All right, as I read further, I'll find out if that was better. Too good. Okay, now I come here, you. Let me make sure I get noise, 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 noise. Okay. This seems like it's going to be way too high, but let me know. I know it's getting into it. If I start touching cords, bad things will happen. I want to touch cords. I want to touch cords. I won't. Okay, sound is gone now. No sound. Let me go to the end and see if you're hearing me here. Still not perfect. Breaks up now and again. What the heck? All right, I will mess with this after the show and get all the settings redone. Let me pop this connector and pop right back in. Stand by. This may make a squeal. Turn your volume down. Testing in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, I should not have done that. Dadgummit. Okay, I'm out. I'm back in. I see lots of peak lights. Best I can do. If it works, it works. If you all tell me that I'm dead and silent, somebody tell me, can you hear me? Hello, hello. Okay. Always something, right? You don't change anything and something changes. I think I know what happened. I walked in here the other night. It was dark and I tripped over a cable and sent a bunch of equipment flying. So, all right. Well, I haven't said anything important. So just moving my lips. Okay, I'm reading all the symbols from Blue Lantern and Abu Bakr. I got it. Nothing, nothing, no sound, nothing, nothing. Okay. Super low, breaking up, can't hear. Well, I gave greetings to everybody and I offered my thoughts on Veterans Day here in the US. We do honor those vets who have passed in service and those who have given service and are still around. And I didn't name anybody here by name because I don't want to leave anybody out. So kudos to all of you and gratitude and thanks to all of you who have served. Norvik Bogosian is back. Looks like you passed your A+. You can't fix it. Let me help you. I fixed it. It's almost always a physical problem, right? It's a layer 1 problem. That was networking. If only Scott J were here. Just say. Long hamburger, huh? The new name. Poor Dave. I'll be so bummed to find out we couldn't hear a thing for 6 minutes. I get over myself. Okay, we're working. Wowie, it works. Hope it's not too loud. I have to dive into the audio settings and find out just how overly loud I've made it. Not perfect, still breaks up now and again. It's a $6,000 microphone. It's not allowed to break up. Am I even on, did I stick it on camera? I bet I did. Switch over to the screen that does that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's kind of, okay, I don't care. It stays in camera for now. Here, let's raise it up. So it points toward my face. I know that was popping like crazy. That's how it goes. Okay, thanks, guys. It sounds like it should. It happened because I took down the Halloween background. It's a sad day for me, but we start putting up the Christmas stuff in, what's today? Today's the 11th, 20 days. Just a little bit at a time until we get to the big Christmas show.
Hello, Blake C. Welcome. And everybody else who was up there beforehand, welcome to you. I did do welcomes. They were just quiet. You couldn't hear them. I love you guys this shorthand. I know you're not a U.S. vet, but you are a Dutch vet, and many thanks. Your country thanks you as well. And Tullowit as well. TD Washington, don't forget the spouses who took care of their family. You're exactly right. You're so right. All right. Well, I was in the Clone Wars with your father. I've been thinking about that line all week. It is of no use whatsoever, but it's just kind of stuck with me. All right. Well, welcome everybody. It's actually a pretty good turnout for the beginning of my show, which isn't to say much. It's not a big turnout, but for our show, we usually have like 3 or 4 people by now, and we're a little better off than that. So let's see what's in the grand list of things. Let me get some stuff out of the way here. I'll put some links up. My server is up, as it always is, on Friday morning through Sunday night, and anytime you want on demand. Just contact me by email or by on Discord or whatever. And what's on there, you ask? Well, the 11 people that are here live know that it's an archive of all the documents that I use to create shows. It's my outlines and my slides and my pictures and whatever. But, you know, there are hundreds of people who watch this show after the live show. And not everybody knows all this, so forgive me for repeating it for those of you who already know it. That's the way she goes. Excuse me. So if you would like to watch the show and follow along in writing, or if you don't want to hear Dave yammer and have 6 minutes of silence, all you got to do is go to my show, go to this link that I've just posted in the YouTube chat. Oh, sorry, that's the Discord link. Did I do both? Yeah, okay. To my server, it's pirsquare.zapto.org. And you can go to the download page and you'll have access to every show that I've ever done for which I've made documents. And that's basically every show that we've done a project for. I've also posted the Discord invitation. There is a live Discord channel. Doesn't show the show live, but it's alive. That's been up and running for a couple of years now. And it was ostensibly and originally created for those folks who want to talk more about the show, talk more about the topics of the show. And it has grown immensely in the years since its initial foundation. So there's all kinds of areas of interest, from Raspberries and Linux to help me with my computer to let's study together, and many more. There's a gaming section, and I encourage you to join over. Total Seminars has nothing official to do with it. In fact, it's called the unofficial Total Seminars Discord channel or server. UTSD is what I call it. And love to see you there. If you want to come on over with mics and cameras, we can have a nice long face-to-face conversation, you and anybody else who's there, and me if you invite me. And it's just a great place. We're just shy of 500 active participants again. We were there before, we're almost there again. I say we, it's not mine. Just because you are kind enough to join myself and Mike on his AMAs, we have a special discount available only to people who watch this show. We don't advertise this anywhere else. It's 50% off a bundle that you create for a particular area of study. I've posted this at quarter after in the YouTube chat feed. So what you do is you go to our website, totalsem.com, and you pick an area of study, A+, Net+, Sec+. You'll see the list in there. And once you said, okay, that's what I want to study, then you get 2 things and put them in your basket. You get the ebook for that topic. Doesn't work with the hardcover book, and the hardcover, and some of the hardcover books don't exist yet. We're still waiting on printers. And you get the practice test. We call that Total Tester Online. Put those both in your basket from the same area of study. And then when you check out, this week's code is RANKIN, RANKIN, all one word, all lowercase. And you'll get 50% off of both of those items. They're already insanely cheap, 50% off. means we're practically giving you money to take them. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but you get the idea. If you are studying any of our courses on Udemy and you're using the Udemy practice tests, they're great. They're wonderful, but they're not, they're not. Okay. They are 270, 360 questions, depending on the course that you take. And that's it. They're all just multiple choice or multiple selection Q&A. Total Tester Online is an attempt at a recreation, a very, very good attempt at recreating the CompTIA exam format. So it looks the same, it works the same. The only thing different about it is the colors. We don't have PBQs in there. We have that as a different product. That's our closest thing we have. But there are so many more questions. If you go take 220-1101 and get the Udemy practice test for that, there's 270 questions. If you take 220-1102 and get the Udemy practice test that we have published up there, there's another 270 questions. Or if you get Total Tester Online for A+, there are, last count, 1,189 questions covering both of the topics. So you get a lot more areas that you can practice in and cover. And we covered all the domains in the Udemy practice tests, but excuse me, get the idea. All right, so that's that. I'm not going to put slides up for those. Anything else that I want to do there? Next week's code. This code's good till Sunday night. I don't know what time, midnight, whatever it is. Monday morning it changes, to be sure. And next week's Monday, I picked a fun one for next week. I know you don't know who or what Rankin is, right? Tell you what, I will post it. You can read it. I'm not going to read it to you. All right, back to questions. There we go. Okay, so I left off at 2:14, where Andre says, don't forget to hit that like button. It won't hit itself. It's true. I like the like button. They've made a change to it right now. When you click the like button, the little thumbs up button, it throws fireworks. It's so cute. It makes it more fun. It makes you want to click it more than once. Don't do that. First time you click it, it's up. Next time you click it, it unups it. But as long as you do it as an odd number of times, you can watch the fireworks all day. Just make sure you leave it as on. And we're not making any money off of it. We don't monetize this or anything like that. This just helps other people find Mike's show and my show. So when they go and look up, we're doing command line web access today. So if somebody goes to YouTube and wants to look up command line web access or some derivation of that, the more likes that our shows have, the more likely that they will appear at the top of the search results. Man, that's good tea. Another good batch. No order 66 here. Man, that's getting way too much press lately. I used IFTTTT to add execute order 66 to my Google Mini. Nice. Reading questions here. Try it. I just installed a Blue Lantern. I just installed a 500 gig M2 drive. What's your opinion? Transfer my Win11 OS to it and install Linux in a virtual machine, or keep Win11 where it is and install Linux locally on the new M2. The only possible reason you would ever get me to suggest a dual boot system, an OS on this disk or partition, and an OS on that disk and that partition, and then you boot one or the other, is if you're using if you're a virtual machine that you like to use, let's go back. If you are doing high intensity graphics gaming, because passing that stuff through a virtual machine bogs things down dramatically. So I will tell you what I have. All of my machines, most of my machines have more than one drive in them. I could easily create multi-boot systems. The machine I'm looking at right now, I'm talking with you, is a Win 10 with virtual machines in it for Ubuntu and Win 11 and another Win 10 so I can experiment with it. Looking at my daily driver Linux machine right there, it's running native bare metal Linux, and I have a virtual machine running Windows 10 and Windows 11 in there. So I am not a fan of dual boot. I want both of my operating systems to run simultaneously. Now, again, if I were going to run games on something that's in a virtual machine and it needs high intensity graphics, I would not do that. For that, I would have some kind of dedicated boot disk and OS and run everything natively off that OS. But big fan of VMs for 95% of all cases. Okay, going 16 minutes after the hour. I knew you were going to super scold. I'm getting into cloud certs. End goal is Azure Data Analytics, but for the basics, what's better for it, I+ or Cloud Essentials? I thought my mic was working when I said that. I believe that for data analytics, you start with Cloud Essentials and then you go to Cloud Plus. If you already have enough information to do Cloud Essentials, because that provides the foundations for Cloud Plus, then skip the certification for Cloud Essentials and go straight to Cloud Plus. If you don't have daily professional hands-on experience with the things that are covered in Cloud Essentials, take Cloud Essentials and start learning it. Do I have an ATEM Mini Pro at home? The answer to that is yes. Oh, there it is. Going to require a pretty significant studio rebuild. And I'm just not ready to do that. But yes, have it and will do it. I have all kinds of good stuff coming up in the offing, and somewhere between here and there, I'm going to get a break. I have pooled a tremendous amount of vacation time and what the company calls PTO, paid time off. And I got a warning email from HR the other day. It says, use it or lose it, bud. So I'm going to wind up taking a few weeks off in December to be sure. I have every intention of doing the show on those days. Let me look at what's Christmas Day. December 25th is Sunday. So I will probably do the show on December 23rd. But don't hold me to that yet. I will let you know as we get closer. But I do anticipate doing my shows over my vacation time. Okay, Tullowit. Yes, you're right. So does my system. I can preview audio and video beforehand, and I never do the show without doing it. So here's the way I do it, and here's what happened. If you're going to beat me up on this, Uncle Microphone, out cable into, I don't know, I got about a 12-channel mixer here, and it gets into my computer because I go into Zoom and I say test audio and video, and I could see there was a problem today. I'd usually do a test 1, 2, 3, and I can see it graphically and I can hear it echo back, and it wasn't doing it. And I'm fiddling with cables and connectors and mic, and I'm doing this, and I could hear it very well. And so it's okay, well, I know that obviously I'm getting audio from the mic into the mixer and from the mixer into my monitor system, my speaker monitor. And that's the test that I do every week. But when I did that, I wasn't seeing the graphical output. And so that's when I started messing with things and poking things. And at some point I wiggled a cable that I haven't touched since I set this thing up. And I tried everything. I tried a whole bunch of other microphones and they all work. They work brilliantly. But what happens is there's this one output cable that goes from my output to my my audio sound card, my external audio sound card. It's an M audio mic and line in, and then from there it connects my computer to USB. And so the output connector from my mixer wasn't intact And so signal wasn't getting into the USB audio interface. And so I poked that around, and obviously while I was messing with other things, I had some low volume situations. So yes, I do test audio. It was just the wrong test. I'll do it a little more thoroughly next time. Wow, the A10 Mini Pros dropped $300, huh? I got mine at a really good price. Mike uses one. That was why I went to it, because I try and do the same things that we do at the company. That keeps me grounded in that technology when I do company side stuff and vice versa. I'm ready to go. You're talking to Blue Lantern. Okay, it's 17, as are my IVMs. I ordered another Intel NUC this week, and you see little 4x4 computers. It's the last one I'm going to get, but it'll be my fourth one. And I'm going to take one of the existing NUCs, which is a good mid-range i5, 16 gigs, and 500 meg SATA SSD. And I'm going to turn that into my DJ rig. Instead of taking a laptop, I'll take it and a portable monitor, much more compact, and I don't want to use my daily driver laptop on DJ gigs. And then the new one that's coming in, it will be like my Linux daily driver, Uber config, 64 gigs of RAM. And I'm debating on whether or not I'm going to get a 2 terabyte or a 4 terabyte M2 NVMe. December 23rd, Discord Christmas party. Sure. Why not? I appreciate it. It's okay, Tolowit. Since my laptop is pretty bad, says Blue, if I run Linux through a virtual machine, won't the laptop resources be split between 11 and the virtual machine? Whereas if I only boot Linux, well, of course, if you're going to boot and run one operating system, all the resources go to that one operating system. If you run a VM, then you're running two operating systems, and you have to assign an appropriate amount of memory and an appropriate amount of core to the VM. So, you didn't include that in your description. You asked me, should I do multi-boot? And I said, no, I wouldn't do it unless you have some incredibly compelling reason, like gaming. So now you've added a new factor into the mix. And, when you say my laptop is pretty bad, I think there's a deeper discussion that should be had. Number one, obviously it appears that you are referring to, memory and CPU power, possibly not storage space, because you're going to put in a second drive. You have a laptop that can support a second drive, and you're telling me that it's pretty bad. This is something that requires greater discussion. Let's bring this up on Discord, where we can have a real discussion, face-to-face, talk-to-talk, and I can ask questions and get better answers. But let's go back for a second here and let's boil it all down. If you're just going to run one operating system at a time, then what you do is give most of the, in a VM situation, since you're running a laptop, you're not running high-powered graphics. So I stick by my initial proposition that you should be doing Linux in a VM. Now, that being the case, since a dual boot system would require that you're either running Windows and no Linux, or vice versa, Linux and no Windows, there is no problem with you telling your virtual machine to give most of the resources to your Linux VM. Let's say that you've got 8 gigs of RAM in your laptop. Give 6 of it to Linux. That only leaves 2 for your Windows, but normally if you're running dual boot, you wouldn't be using Windows anyway. So just let it sit there and slog along with its 2 gigs. And same thing, give all the cores or all the threads except 1 or 2 to Linux, and you'll have a very good functioning Linux system. Linux doesn't hog up nearly as much RAM as Windows does anyway, so you may not need to give it all that RAM. Now, I stand by by my recommendation at this point, absent more useful information. Andre at 28 minutes past the hour said, I did a video test for the Halloween after party too. Yes, he did. It resulted in purchasing 2 new cameras. Which I think, look, your camera has worked fine in the past. So I think that there was something more configuration oriented than the camera itself, but whatever. Sorry, yeah, my laptop has an Intel Celeron 1 gigahertz. That's pretty low performer. That'll be 1 or 2 cores at most, and it won't. Celerons are not multi-threaded, so I'll guess you have a 2-core system there. You could give 1 core to Linux and 1 core to Windows in a VM. Abu Bakr Al-Haj, Assalamu alaikum, is talking to Blue Lantern, and they're talking back. Yeah, you're running a laptop with a Celeron. The answer is not, should I dual boot Linux and Windows? The answer is, should I mow a few lawns, make a couple $100 and get a laptop? If you only want to use it for practice, then you may be okay. Hey, you know what? Spend $35 and get a cheap Raspberry Pi and run Linux on there. Look, you can get a low-end Raspberry Pi, a 2 or a 3B, not a 3B plus, for 35, 40, $50. And, another 10, $20 in a power supply. And you don't need a micro SD card. You've already got a keyboard. You've already got a mouse. You've already got a monitor. You've probably already got a cable. And do all your Linux practice on that. Then you don't have to worry about your Celeron machine. It'd be a ton of fun. What's a Mobo? Mobo, if you're not being facetious, is a motherboard. That's that. Let me go back and check notes. See what other kind of cool things there are to talk about today. Wow. I was closing things thick and fast 2 seconds before show start. And I close my notes. Drama show outline. There we go. Take your time coming up. I hate Windows. I hate Windows products. All right, we're up and running-ish. Something's going on there. I got to do this. There we go. All right. So I've introduced myself. There's a few more people here. So if anybody wonders, I am Dave Rush. I'm the senior instructor at Total Seminars. And this is an Ask Me Anything. Our bailiwick here is CompTIA Trifecta, A+, Network Plus, Security Plus. And our focus is how to use Raspberry Pis to foster studying in those arenas, So we do a project most weeks. Sometimes it's directly related to a CompTIA certification. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just raw, pure fun. I don't know where today's project fits in. There's probably some relevance to some CompTIA certification, but I don't know what it is offhand. I just found something I thought was interesting, and we'll go from there. Let's see. So where are we going today? We get together every week to advance technical learning, and this is show number, I don't know why I mention this every week, but it's just a fun thing for me to keep track of. It's show number 117 in our weekly series. We meet together every week, Friday, 2 o'clock for 2 hours Central Time. We are now in the US on Central Standard Time. Tullowit is always on Standard Time, but we just changed last weekend from daylight savings time. Our clocks moved back, which means you see us an hour earlier than we'll be, and it'll stay that way until spring, and then we'll fall or spring forward again, and then it'll be later. Yes, I'll get back to that. Let me do a little bit of this paperwork, and then I'll get, okay, dick face here, gone. I'm not doing that. All right, took me a second to take care of him here. And he is now been passed on to the child molestation police. You want to play games with me? I'll play games right back with you. Anyway, so we get together here every week for drama on Fridays at 2 o'clock. Mike Myers does his show on the same channel, same time on Mondays and Wednesdays for an hour each week. And he's got some good stuff coming up. I spent the last 2 days getting things lined up, and I'm very excited to tell you all about it in short order here. Easiest way to contact me is to communicate with me live here on the YouTube chat channel. If that's not possible for you, for any of the myriad reasons, there are other ways to communicate with me. I won't put the slide up. I'll just put my email address up, which is right here. Click. And my LinkedIn address. Link with me or follow me. I'm always doing something, posting on there. And you can always find me on the Discord channel. If my computer is turned on, it's logged in there. And if I'm up and about, unless I'm eating dinner or something like that, or catching one of the rare television shows that I'm interested in, I'm usually sitting right here and you can honk at me. If you do it right now, I won't hear it because I have the servers muted, because people always want to talk to me right during the show. No, I can't pull away from you nice live folks to do that. Where's the other thing I wanted to post up there? Oh yeah, I want to repost the invitation to Discord. Post that. And heck, one more. Let's see. That's the Pi Square server. And that is Discord. Oh, heck, one more time for the specials too. There. All right, where did I leave off? Yeah, it is hard to get a cheap Raspberry Pi these days. Supply chain shortages are killing everybody. Even Intel chips are having a tough time getting silicon. It must be me, Dave, looking very Peaky Blinders. That is a harsh show, my friend. I caught a couple episodes. I can't do it. That's just not my cup of mud. Got S or get a refurb PC. Yeah, right. There's a million sources of better performing PCs. Craigslist. They have refurbs on Newegg, and I think on Amazon. Yep, Gallagher passed away today. I liked him. His comedy was funny, but his if you look into the whole watermelon smash thing, it had very deep meaning to him. It wasn't just to splash audiences or to shock audiences or something like that. There's a message there. Good guy. Okay, I'll break. Oh no, I got 2 more posts here, and then I will share with you something interesting. Abu Bakr, I wish I could get Raspberry Pi at this price in my local market. Yeah, they're all pricey right now. I know that the last one that I bought is down here. It's a Raspberry Pi 4 with 8 gigs. It was the top of the line guy. And I spent $155 on it, and that was a pretty darn good price, all things considered. Hey, Dave, working on the holiday. Yes, I work on holidays. Well, today's not a holiday. It's a day of memoriam, but I work on most holidays, at least on if the show turns up. I've done it on Christmas. I've done it on New Year's. I will not be doing it on Christmas this year because Christmas doesn't fall on the day. Low fave. Oh, did I miss a name? Now I got to look it up. Stand by. Okay. Oh, you were commenting on the spammer's name. Okay, it must be me. Is the new book out? Yes and no. Yes, the ebook is out. You can get it from totalsem.com. No, the printers have not started printing yet. I don't think you're going to start printing until end of this month or sometime in December. To find out when the hard copy book comes out, always go to Amazon and look up the book. You'll see it's on pre-order there, and they will tell you the date that it's going to deliver. It'll be printed about a month before delivery, but then it's got to go from the printers to all the various Amazon warehouses, wherever they're sold. Yeah, he's gone. All right, let's not go down the name road. Ardean, I passed ITIL 4 cert as part of my school, but I don't think this cert is worth much. Is worth much or worth putting on my resume. Entering differing opinions. My opinion, which is never to be humble, is it's a good cert. It's worth putting on your resume. It doesn't carry as much weight in the US as it does in Europe. Likewise, CompTIA is strong in Europe, but not as strong as ITIL. But people are recognizing it more and more. I don't think it's going to replace CompTIA by any stretch in the US. CompTIA owns the US for now. Things change over time. But heck yeah, put it on your resume. Andre, do I want to read that out loud? Nah. Because it is creepy when you put it that way. I heard employers love ITIL 4 even though it's useless. What? You can't love something that's useless with the possible exception of a cat. No, okay, well, if that's what you heard, that's what you heard. I have never heard any employer in the US say, yes, ITIL, I'm glad he's got it. But if you've heard that, who am I to deny what you have to say? There you go. Andre's in Europe. He knows something about ITIL. Xerxes, I got a relatively inexpensive gaming laptop recently, though. So I think supply is catching up. Okay. I'll let you know. I got to get a new laptop for Christmas. Oh, I need a laptop for Christmas. I have been playing with Windows 11 for the last 3 months. I don't hate it. Except for the interface being a little different, finding this utility here, that utility there, few utilities have been expanded. It's Windows 11, Windows 10. It just looks a little different and has some different menu locations. But for that reason, I am willing to switch to 11. Yes, Blue Lantern, as was pointed out, it's St. Martin's Day. My buddy, says Xerxes at 42, is a machinist for Honeywell and makes the metal part for the chips, cans. He's been cranking those out to get the supply increased. Cool. Yeah, there's a lot more than silicon involved in a chip. There's the copper base, the platform. There's the can. There's the the thing, the platform. There's a lot going on there. Chip shortages messing up stuff again. Sure is. Our suppliers have trouble getting laptops at the moment, especially Lenovo and Dell. Sorry, idle for opinion came from Professor Messer. Nothing wrong with the professor. He's got a fine product and he's a smart guy. But I never see him as a source for employment advice. We are to some degree, Dion is to some degree, but those aren't really areas that we claim great expertise in. That's why we bring in experts like Jessica Dickerson and others. Steve's got a pretty good handle on that stuff too. And Steve will be with you on Wednesday coming up. Andre. Well, says RDN, looks like, yeah, of course you should sit it. There's no question. If you had a certificate in hand washing from a health department from when you were in the restaurant business, I'd put that on there too. Andre, I run Win 11 on my laptop and desktop. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. Yeah, kind of with you on that. All right, we're caught up there. It's 45, 47, something like that. Let's see what's good here. All right, so let me get caught up on my notes and things like that. We talked about how to contact me. We put the links up for the Discord channel and how to contact me outside of this. We talked about the specials. So for any given project that we do, we always mention whether or not it's Raspberry Pi exclusive. Today's project is not. You can do today's project on just about any Linux distro. The only thing that's different about what I'm going to do on my Raspberry Pi today is if you're running a Red Hat distro, you use DNF or Yum to install it. Most of you aren't in that arena and don't know what I just said, and it doesn't matter. The people who are in that arena know exactly what I said, and cool. So anyways, today is a multi-platform project, can be done anywhere. PyRsquare.zapto is .zapto.org is up. Where we been? Where we going? Last week, we looked at methods to determine which Linux distro, including its code name, its kernel version, and other hardware information, is running on your system. We use some built-in commands to do that. We looked at some files that get recreated every time the system is booted up, like etc whack os release and proc/cpu info. We ran some internal commands, hostname CTL, lsb_release, uname, and getconf. And then we loaded a couple of utilities that can conglomerate a lot of information. We did lshow, lshw, and inxi, inxi. Good tools for gathering information about your hardware and your software running on your Linux distro. Today, we're going to look at how to access website content from the command line. And access is a great word here because we can read from websites. We can send information to websites. I don't send information to websites. It's not like I'm editing it. Yeah, you send a lot more information probably than you think about. News, tricks, and traps and techniques of the week. We already covered it's Veterans Day in the US. Many thanks to all of you who have served your country in your armed services. An update. So last week, I reported to you that I was having a problem with the Zoom client on Ubuntu. I had the problem on, I don't know, it was either Thursday or Friday morning, something like that, and I abandoned it. So on Saturday, I put a few more hours into it, and then I gave up. Now, the same problem has been reported by others on the Zoom support forums. The Zoom tech people don't get in there and help out. It's people helping each other. And so I saw posts on there and I saw me too, me too, me too, me too, and nobody had an answer. Nobody even offered an answer. Well, I really want to 100% switch over to Linux as my daily driver, and that's a critical component of my professional and personal life. So I have a paid Zoom account. I don't use the free one, and that means I'm entitled to tech support. So I kicked off a note to tech support. A couple days later, they responded with questions, and we spent a couple days back and forth answering silly, stupid questions. Oh, it was horrible. Because in short, the problem was this: I bring up the Zoom client, it works fine, the camera works fine, it tests fine, the audio works fine. I have my account has all of my streaming information, where I stream to. So all you have to do, and all I do on my regular Windows machine, is I click start streaming, and it says, okay, I'll read your profile, which is in the cloud somewhere. I got the streaming info, and it starts streaming, and all I got to do now is turn on YouTube and say, make it go out. But when I hit the start streaming button on the Zoom client in Ubuntu, the program just closed. And when I would bring it back up again and try and start again, it says, hey, you've already got a session running. It wasn't actually streaming. What do you want to do? You either close that old session or you leave that old session open. Well, if I try to leave the old session open, nothing actually happened. So every time I came up, I had to close the session that the system crashed under. It's just totally unacceptable. And so I described that neatly and cleanly and clearly in my explanation to tech support. And after all this back and forth and asked more questions about it, they said, send us a video. I said, look, you people are nuts. I will send you a video. But it all comes down to, I click this, the program closes. That's it. No error messages, no nothing. So I tried to take a video with the Ubuntu built-in screen capture, and it disables the video feed in the Zoom client. They both need the video buffer. So that was no good. So I had the missus stand over my shoulder and shoot the screen. And it was good enough. I sent that to them and say, look, it's just like I described. Watch, I'll click this and the program crashes. And now when I bring it up, look, it says there's still a session going and makes me close it. You know what they sent me back? Uninstall it and reinstall it. Like I hadn't done that before. Oh, okay. But when somebody at tech support tells me to do something, I do it to a T, exactly the way they say. And so when I started following their instructions, I started pulling my hair out, north and south, because their instructions have you actually download the new client twice. So the first time it comes down and it's called, let's say, Zoom client. And then the next time it comes down and either overwrites Zoom client in the case of Linux, or in the case of Windows, it makes a new one, Zoom client 1 in parentheses. And then you got rid of them. And then the thing that it says it's going to do, it doesn't do. So, you know, I'm no idiot. I speak Ubuntu. And so I was able to, or Linux, and I said, okay, well, I know what they intend. I'll do this. And it failed. And I did it again and it worked. So all you have to do is uninstall it and reinstall it multiple times. But it is working. Oh, but now it won't read the profile in the cloud. So when I go to start streaming, it says, hey, Bubba, you got to manually type in all the streaming information. There's 2 different URLs and a stream key and, but it's working. And so I can use Zoom client on Linux. And I will. I'll test a show here before the end of the year, and then starting next year, it'll always be on there. The only reason I'm not doing it all on there is because all the stuff that I do here is on my Windows machine still, all my links and the VNCs and the shares to the Pis and all that. So I got to get all that stuff transferred over. It's working. How we doing here? 55. Okay. I posted a link on the Unofficial Total Seminars Discord channel. I'm going to post it again right now, and I'm going to show you this. There is a site off the coast of Greece that's a buried ancient shipwreck. If you look at it, it's a sand mound with seaweed growing on it. You can't quite tell. However, they've got 5 cameras surrounding this shipwreck to watch divers and fish, and I guess to see if the thing floats again. You can't copy that. You can click on it or right click on it and go. You can't right click, just click on the link that I posted at 55. And let me bring it up here. I don't know if it's still dark in Greece. They don't have the site lit at night. But I was looking at it at, I don't know, 6 a.m. Their time, at 9 a.m. their time. I don't know what time zone they're in. And it's pretty cool. So let me go to that page. There we go, the ancient shipwreck page. And let's fire up camera 5. I'll see if it's light there right now. Now you can kind of see the surface in the upper left-hand corner on camera 5, just starting to get a little bit of light, but there's nothing to show you here. So I shan't be showing you, sorry, but do look that over sometime when it's daylight in Greece. All those cameras are Raspberry Pis with Raspberry Pi cams operating on them. And that's cool to me, as well, you know. Well, I almost did something terrible there. All right. Almost done with news and tricks and techniques of the week. Two more. The Weird Al movie came out this week. And I don't know, 2 days after it came into my feed, I said, I'm going to watch this. I like Weird Al. I've seen him in concert. And it's just the most fun concert I have ever been to, musically speaking. He's a wonderful guy. I was expecting a biopic, and it kind of started out as a biopic. And it starts with this vibe that, oh man, this poor downtrodden kid with the browbeating father and the mother who, kind of sort of tries to protect him, but she defends the dad. And I thought, man, this is, going to be really harsh, but in the end, it's going to be a great success story. And no, could not have been more wrong. It took me forever to get through this movie, right? Tella was saying the same thing. Not to get through it, but to understand it. It's a Weird Al Yankovic movie. It's not the Weird Al Yankovic biopic. It's not the story of his life. He probably took some elements out of his life and he wrote a Weird Al movie, right? So, if you ever seen UHF, it's over the top and there's nothing realistic. A little bit. It's got some pretty cool stuff in it. But if you go in with that understanding, if you say, okay, this is a Weird Al movie, not a biopic about Weird Al, it has very little to do with his actual life or the events that happened. Again, probably just a little scraping of somewhere between 1% and 5%. But go in with that mindset, just a heck of an enjoyable movie. Just don't go in thinking you're going to learn something about how he grew up. And it's got all the cliches in it, the meteoric rise, the crash, the third act, and then everything kind of ends happily ever after. And it's formulaic, but it's Weird Al formulaic. And the last thing in my notes, just as an FYI, I ordered a KVM this week. My Intel NUCs are, sometimes I need to run them on a real live monitor. Not happy with the VNC system that I have, and I just don't have one over improvement. So if I want to switch to that one, I got to go up and pull the video out of there and pull the wireless interface for the mouse and keyboard, work on this machine for a while, then go back to the other machine. I'm getting a KVM. It's on its way in. I got all the cables for it. It's all ready to go. And that will make my life so much easier. All right. Does that take care of all that? Yeah. No old unanswered questions. Let's check the feed here, and then we'll go in and we'll do a contest. We'll give something away. Yes, Xerxes, it is a Greek fisherman's hat. I grew up on Lake Erie, and this was my hat of choice through my youth, and it disappeared sometime after college. And I got another one up in my closet. I actually kind of forgot about it, I guess because I hate it. It's brown. Greek fishermen's hats are wool, and they're black, and they're real, and they come from basically 2 companies in the world. And so I ran across this one recently and said, it's time to replace it. And I had to get the right size. And I may die with this hat. This is by far and away my favorite hat. It's, it looks pitch black in the camera. It actually is very, very dark blue. I'm so disappointed. It looked black in the advertisements, and then I finally got it in and said, no, that's not black. But most people don't recognize or can't see it. I probably will change it for a true black one. Dave, please, what is tier of internet? Asks Norvik. Okay. So there are no tiers of internet. What there are tiers of internet service providers. There are 3 of them: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. At tier 1, there are the companies who own and operate the massive billions of bytes per second, trillions of bytes per second, hundreds of trillions of bytes per second links between gigantic facilities, router facilities all over the world. We call those backbones. Those are the tier 1 providers. There are 2 magical things about them that we care about besides what I've just mentioned. One, most of the IP addresses that existed when the internet came up with IP addresses were assigned to them. There were some exceptions, but they got most of them. And what they do is they assign them, lease them, sell them to tier 2 and tier 3 providers. Okay, tier 2 providers. So you don't hook up to a tier 1 internet service provider. All they do is move data back and forth between other tier 1 service providers, and they provide connections to tier 2 service providers. A tier 2 service provider, sometimes they have direct user access, like L3 Vertex is one. But basically, they buy bandwidth from these tier 1 peoples, and they link to third tier providers. They also get blocks of IP addresses from the tier 1s, and they distribute those blocks of IP addresses to tier 3 ISPs. A tier 3 ISP is one that provides consumer service. So if you've got a cable company that you're getting your internet service from, a telephone company that you're using DSL service from, some other source for an internet service provider, they are a tier 3. They've been given a block of IP addresses. They give you one of those addresses. You use NAT so that you can get more devices. And they have slower connection links than between you and them. They have high-speed connection links between themselves and the tier 2 ISPs. The tier 2 ISPs have higher speed connection links to the tier 3s, and the tier 3s have these gigantic, unbelievable high performance pipelines. That help? If I don't give you, if that's not an information, let me know, not enough, and I'll fill in more. But those were what you need to know for the exam and basically for the real world. Oh, it's all Weird Air movie, not what he was expecting either. Cooley is back with us. I saw that in the 90s when it was called UHF. Man, what a great, UHF has lost very little. It ages well, and I watch it every year or so. Love it. Absolutely love it. Haven't seen the new one. Yeah, it just came out. Most people won't, but it's online all over the place. You can find it. Abu Bakr is still looking for an IT job. Dave, should I go for Linux Plus instead of Network Plus? Don't pick a certification to get a job. Pick a job and get the certification that they want. You can't just, I got this certification and I got this degree. Now, what job am I going to get? That's not the way to do this. My kid said, I want to be a mechanical engineer. I want to work for this company or one of these companies or whatever. They require, not surprisingly, a mechanical engineering degree. So he goes to college and studies for and gets his mechanical engineering degree. He didn't say, I'm going to go to school. I need to pick a major, and okay, it'll be mechanical engineering because I think I can pass that. And then when he got done, he looks for jobs, or what do mechanical engineers do, and where do they work? And right, that's backward. Find the job that you want to do, and then get the credentials necessary to pursue that job. Okay, so if you want to be a Linux administrator, if you want to be a Linux supporter, and you got some companies or some positions in mind, go after Linux Plus. If you want to be a network supporter, if you want to become a network designer, a sales engineer for networking communications, go after Network Plus. But do it in right order. There is much discussion about fat and bad in the movie. I think Cartel Battle and the girlfriend were real, though. Yeah, you're right. Because Weird Al can't do a movie without him holding a minigun. God, I watched some of the interviews about it. It seems like very, very, very spoofy. Yeah, very spoofy. That was an original song. I'm not giving away spoilers, Toluit, but you will crack me up when you do it. I want to be totally 100% original from here on in. And that was an original song. So now I have to read one of these ats. Xerxes says, talking to Abu Bakr, both depends on what you want to do. Your dad has one also. I hope so. Sorry, I went down a risque road there. That's what makes him a dad. Tears for Fears. Stop it, David Zintera. Blue Lantern, have I done Data Plus? No, I have not done Data Plus. I was approached by a company earlier this year to become a big data analyst instructor. Turned it down. I like what I do. They didn't require Data Plus. They required that you have the equivalent knowledge and information and some knowledge about their products. And it was an interesting thing. I considered it. I did some research on it, but no, I have not done Data Plus. And I don't ever expect to. I like what I do. I like my career. Reading questions here, reading comments. Speaking of movies that age well, I was trying to fix a printer the other day. I don't have to read the rest of that to know that you're talking about The Office. PC load letter. What the heck is that? It said paper jam. When there's no paper jam, I wanted to get it back. That is exactly right, Scott S. Doesn't fix the printer, but it does fix that other problem. Miniguns are fun, just a little pricey. Do I have a good way, asks Cooling the Coulson at 06, to solidify IS versus PS in my brain? I'm getting them confused. I don't have a simple trick or mnemonic. I will just give you the summary of both of them, and hopefully this will stick. Infrastructure as a service versus platform as a service. Platform as a service is a host, maybe more than one host, and it exists to develop an application on. Ideally, it exists to develop, to co-develop an application on. The whole point of having a platform is so that you can do collaborative development. And the only time and way that we involve multiple hosts in there is if the application that you're using uses multiple hosts. So, but for the CompTIA part, just think of it as a singular computer that's cloud-based that you and or more people collaboratively use to develop web apps. It's a computer. It's a cloud-based computer for development. Infrastructure as a service is when you take what would be installed in an office, routers, switches, hosts, desktops, voice over IP routers, VoIP routers, and you virtualize all of it in cloud. It's so the only thing that's going to exist in an office in a real 100% infrastructure as a service environment is a cheap little thin client that's enough to get you connected to this cloud infrastructure. So you'll run a desktop off there. All you need is enough processing power to move video back and forth and to move keystrokes back and forth, and maybe a cheap VoIP phone, a little bit of equipment in-house. But the whole point is I want to get rid of physical equipment, all of that infrastructural stuff, network infrastructure, and virtualize it in the cloud. So it's got lots of hosts. It's got artificial wires. It has virtualized routers and virtualized switches and virtualized phone services, virtualized apps. All the apps are up in the cloud, except for the thin client app. Let me know if that helps or if it doesn't. Andre shot a printer with his shotgun years ago. It does solve the paper jam. Hey, last thing, news of news, and then I want to get into the project and we'll come back and answer these. We're here in Houston. We've got NASA people and friends of ours who know a little, who share information with us that isn't hidden from the public, but it isn't broadcast necessarily. So as everybody probably knows, there was a launch of a Cygnus cargo container the other day up to the space station, 8,000 pounds of food and water and oxygen and science experiments. And once it got into space and it ejected the rocket, it deploys a pair of solar panels, except only one deployed. So they drove it to very close to the space station, but they said, we need to know what happened, why this isn't deployed before we're going to allow it to berth, to dock. And so they whipped out cameras and did all their thing. The ultimate answer, of course, is it did berth. But here's the interesting thing about it. Why didn't the thing just deploy? They weren't able to determine until they got actual cameras on it. A piece of equipment jammed. And that piece of equipment was the one that held all of the science experiments that were going up there. They were all destroyed. So presumably what's going to happen, I don't know. You know what? I'm making assumptions that I don't have foundations for. So they're going to, obviously they're going to jettison it, whether or not they're going to drive it back into orbit for the sake of a burn up, or if they're going to try and recover it or whatever. I don't know, but I think it's an interesting question. All right, last of the feed here, and then we'll get on to project. Yeah, 308's pricey. Okay, good. You made flashcards. Nice. Oh man, I am such a fan of flashcards. Kudos for you. What are all the answers to all the questions on the A+? All you got to do is watch our courses and read our book and you'll know. That spammer was named. All right. Let us forget about the spammer from earlier, and let us instead talk about a project. Yeah. Oh God, I didn't do a contest. Let's do a contest, and then we'll do a project. So we're going to do a giveaway contest here today. We're going to give away 90-day access, free access to the Total Tester Online. That's practice test of your choice. Winner today, if you would be so kind, you must make your choice and send me the contact information before end of day today. I try and get it in by end of business on Friday, and certainly no later than Saturday morning. They have to have it sitting on their desk ready to go on Monday morning, and I don't want to do anything else over the weekend that's work or show related other than prep a new show. Know what I'm saying there? Cool. Sorry, prepping things for a contest. All right, everything is prepped. So I'm going to put up a question. Four answer, multiple choice. One answer is correct. Question. You're going to type in what you believe to be the right answer one time in the YouTube chat feed, and I will select a winner from that. Winner will be the first one with the right answer who hasn't won a million times or who hasn't won frequently. We want to give other people plenty of chances to win, right? And did I not fix that there? I found my big typo of the day. And so you'll type in answers. I'll watch them come by. I'll pick a winner, and then I will tell you how to claim your winnings by posting and showing some information up on the main screen. Is that clear enough on that? This is really simple stuff. I picked a question from 220-1102. I've been doing 1101 questions. This one is from 1102. 1101 is real foundational. You know, how long is the max length USB cable? How fast is an SSD? Whatever. 1102 tends to be a little more applied theory. All right, let me bring up my system to show you El Questione. Let's do this so I can share everything nicely. We're okay on time. My project is not a long project today, and it's a lot of fun, and it's very interesting, I hope. All right, so these are the slides for things that I posted up to the day. If you missed them in the chat feed, you can pause your screen here and get the information if you're watching this on the archive channel. So here's the link to PyR my server that's up and running all weekend and otherwise on demand, pyrsquare.zapto.org. The weekly special this week, 50% off ebook and total tester bundles for A+, Net+, Sec+, and you can read the rest. The code through Sunday night is Rankin, new code next week. I posted a couple times this link for the unofficial Total Seminars Discord channel server. And this is what you're going to do to claim your winnings if you win. Okay, here comes La Questione. Ready? All right. So this is going to be multiple choice. You will choose one answer from the choices here. It's from 2/20/11/02. Type in the correct answer. And the question is, on Linux, of the 4 choices that I have listed here, which is not a file permission? Ready to see the list? Here we go. 4 choices: write permission, delete permission, read permission, execute permission. The question again, on Linux, that's the way the question actually is in the total tester. It says on Linux, not in Linux, so it's not a typo, which is not a file permission. Write, delete, read, and execute. Type in your answer into the YouTube chat feed and we will select a winner who doesn't get a chicken dinner, but they do get 90-day free access to Total Tester Online of your choice. A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, CYSA Plus. I think we got Pen Test Plus, I'm not certain. I'm very confident that we have Pen Test Plus and lots of others. Hang on, I'm not looking at answers yet. Okay, junk and junk. I'll decide if you can pass. Left answer. Oh, man. I had to go back and read what the context for that was. You people are terrible. Okay, I'm reading answer choices here. By the way, if you see an answer choice up there that you think is right, and so you don't want to submit your answer because you think it's already ahead, there are 2 reasons why that's a wrong thought process. 1, I might see yours before I see theirs. And 2, I don't pick first person that's right necessarily. I pick the first person that's right who hasn't overwon. Pi are square. Technically, they're a rectangle. Since when? Pi are round. Cornbread are square. Reading answers here. Okay, I got enough people who have posted answers. I got to look something up here ever so quick. How do I do that? I go over here. Stand by. Just checking how frequently my prospective winner has won in the past. What the heck is that? Oh, I see what's going on there. Okay. Move you down, go over here. There we go. Well. Well. Let me double check something. Oh, that's why. Okay. There we go. All right. Gonna pick a winner who won once. He hasn't won since he or she, I don't know. I don't remember. I'm looking at the name there. Hasn't won since June. So our winner today is the Xerxes. Xerxes, congratulations on your win. Let me post how to claim your winnings. You've seen it before because you won once before. And then I will share the answer with everybody because I got things going out of order here. Sorry about that. There we go. The Xerxes. You are going to send an email to me, daveR@totalsem.com. And in the body of the email, please place 4 fields: your YouTube name, the Xerxes 78 or whatever you are, your real given name, first name and surname, your email address that you want me to send your access credentials to, and which practice test you would like by exam number. All right, let's go over to the answer here. There is no such thing in Linux as a delete permission. We have read, write, and execute. In order to delete a file, you need the write permission because you're going to write it to nothingness, but there is no delete. Is there delete in Windows? I'm brain farting on NTFS. Whatever, doesn't matter. All right, congratulations, Xerxes. Way to go. All right, I am done with that document for today. Yeah, I saw somebody that said you type really fast. Nice. All right, how are we doing on time here? 22. Absolutely lovely and beautiful. Thank you for all the fireworks, Scott S. All right, let's start on a project for today then and wind things up here. Today's project is how to access web pages or web content from the command line. I went down a rabbit hole the other day thinking, you know, if you're on a server, a Linux server, and you needed content from a web page, how would you do that? Because browsers are all graphical, right? And I'm aware of a text-based browser that I needed for a project a couple of years ago, and it was just unusable. So I started going down the rabbit hole to do some research. Now let's go back here just for a second. So what do you need for today's project if you want to recreate this at home? Real simple, a host running Linux and a network connection. The big utility that I'm going to point us to when we get at the end here works fine on a local network connection, but obviously the whole point of getting web pages is because web servers are out on the internet, and so you want an internet connection. Okay, so found myself with this question. How can I query a website from the Linux command line? There are basically two commands when you're talking to a web server, and they fall under the HTTP protocol. There is get, which means send me information. And, you know, we can add detailed information to gets like send me a page, send me a file called index.html, or in the alternative index.php, or on this page, whack page one, whack lower level, whack, you get the idea. And then there's post. Post says, I'm sending information to a web server, like, well, not a get, but like maybe it's I don't know, a search engine, and it's waiting for you to put in information, terms that you want to search. Maybe it's an information box that wants your name and your email address so you can sign up for an account. So we post data from our browser or from our web client up to the web server. I'll bet that came across really loud and I don't know what it was. So sorry about that. So I started some research and I kind of did a head slap because the first thing that it came up with was the curl command. And I've been very blinders about that by saying, wait a minute, I always envisioned curl as a utility to go to a website and pull all the contents of a particular folder. Those contents are usually an application or an installation program. Once you curl this web address, and there's a few parameters that you can put along with it, a few switches and options, now you get it down into your computer and you do with it whatever you're going to do. You're going to run an install on it, or you're going to extract it or do whatever. But curl, apparently, I discovered, it's not apparently, it's a factual, is a lot more. It is a command line utility that allows you to very specifically drill into websites to get very specific information. It's not broad like some of the other things that I'm talking about. wget is very similar in that respect to curl. It's a utility that we tend to use to grab a chunk of stuff from a particular folder or by a particular file name, but it's got a lot more power and authority to it. But wasn't what I had in mind. I just assumed in my head that there was something a little more browser-ish. And so the next thing that I found was a utility called Googler. Googler is obviously not something that's included in your Linux distro. It's an application that you have to install. And I checked to see if it was in the repository for the Raspberry Pi OS, and sure enough, it was. So I kept this web page that I was learning from up, and I installed Googler. And let's do that. Let's see, Putty would be a good way to do this. Putty hi at Ansible pi dot local. I know you can't see it yet. Stand by. You will. Oh man. If you want to carry on connecting any key to hit no. Yeah, so I was looked at. Okay. And password is raspberry, RASPBERRY. All right. Now let's share this with you. And then I got to do one other thing so that everything happens the way it could, should, and would. I know it's going to gripe. Stand by. Oh, you know what? I didn't save that page, so it doesn't matter. Okay. I'm going to need 3 pages open at once. So let's install Googler. It's a real simple, straightforward process. Is use the same old install as anybody else. We will sudo apt install Googler. You know what, before I do that, let me show this to you. How about let's confirm that it's there. Apt cache search Googler. And there it is. There's only one program in the whole kit and caboodle. And so now we'll install it. Sudo apt install Googler. And while that's installing, I'll tell you a little bit about it. What it is it's a command line web browser that only knows how to talk to Google. I will also tell you this. It hasn't been maintained or updated in, it looks like, about 2 years. It no longer does what the site that I found says it does. And there were lots of people who posted on that site says, not working, not doing this. So I think it's dead, but let me expose you to it because it's interesting and it leads well into the next thing. Now we can find out a little bit of how to use it with Googler -- help. And there's a lot of information in here. I'm not going to read it all to you again, because it's basically a dead product as far as I can tell. Copyright on it was 2008. The last time it was copyrighted was 21, but does not do much of what it could, should, would have done. All right, it operates in one of 2 ways. One is strictly from the command line. So we might say Googler, and that's going to make it contact Google and perform a search. And I'm going to add one switch in here that says I only want the top 3 hits of whatever we're going to find. So I'll say -- count space 3. And then following that, I'll use the search term. Let's see what's in Google about Googler. So it looks kind of funny, but I want to Google Googler using the Googler command. And it goes buzz, 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 grind, grind, grind. And a couple things happen here. One, it didn't give me the top 3. There are more than 1 hits. In fact, it didn't even give me anything about Googler. It gave me closest guess, which was which was Google. So that's one of the things that is gone, having lost maintenance on this thing. It no longer gets multiple hits. It has also taken me into the interactive mode. I'm going to quit out of that. And I'm going to add the X and say, only find Googler for me, please. So now I couldn't find anything from Google on Googler. Well, that's not true. If you look up Googler on Google, there are hits. So again, it's kind of lost its luster here. While you're in here, you're in the interactive mode, and I can say question mark, and there's a much smaller subset of options and commands that you can do in here. Let's try. So basically what you're going to do in here is keywords. I want to look up everything that Google knows about hamsters. Nothing. Well, we know it knows a lot about hamsters, and I'll use that in another example. So, no, does Google know anything about Google? Yeah, same thing that it found early. So this is basically a dead product, but there it is. And I bring that up because well, let's try something here. Yeah, this one is a pure text utility. So if it worked, it would be great if you had a system that didn't have a graphical user interface, but it don't. So I said, well, there must be an alternative out there, right? And I didn't have to do that research. What I found on this page where I learned about Googler is lots of people saying, why would you use this instead of a program called eLinks? So, all right, down the rabbit hole for eLinks. eLinks is a command line textual browser that is just amazingly cool. First of all, you can pick any web server that makes you happy that you want to connect to and read it, post data to it. It has an interactive mode. It has a command line mode. And here's the real magic of it. If you're running this on a server without a graphical user interface, right, when you work in that environment, then you have to work in the textual mode. That's true for this thing. However, they have built into the textual mode mouse support. So that's powerful stuff. So let's install it. Let's go see it. How about apt cache, search, eLinks. And there's a handful of goodies, but here's the one I want, eLinks, advanced text mode browser. All right. So sudo apt install eLinks. Buzz, 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 grind, grind, grind. It's a nice quick install. All right, it's done. Going to my notes here. So as with everything, we've got help for it. Let's start out with that. We just type in eLinks -- help. Whoa. It's got all kinds of things, including pretty colors. You can make sure that your requests to various web servers are anonymized. I don't know if you know this, but when you're using a browser right now, tons of information about you and your system get passed to the website. Many browsers have the ability to turn off that information right now, but by default, to my knowledge, they all leave it on. So if you've got that information distribution paranoia that I do, go dive into the settings of your browser and start turning off that stuff. All right, lots of other goodies here. You can see the basic syntax. eLinks followed by any options that you want to add here. Most of them are single dash, all of them. And then the URL that you want. You can do multiple URLs or you can do input with that. So let's try a nice simple one. Now the problem, there's not a problem, but the lack of feature that this program has is it can't show you graphics on a website. But if I want to go see a page on a website, all I got to do is say eLinks, and it's smart enough to know that you can or can't do https:// or, just shortcuts, totalsem.com. So let me try one here without any of the nonsense. My side hustle one, rocoaudio.net. And there it is. There's lots of graphics on this page if you actually go to it with a traditional browser, but it's extracted the text. You can see where all the graphical images are, not what they are, but hey, pretty cool. And what you can do with eLinks is send this to output. You could save this to a file. You could run it through a filter like grep and pull out keywords and then save those to a file. So really useful, really powerful. I didn't do it on here when I was doing testing, but somewhere in here, I have links to all my other pages and they are selectable. Okay, here they are. So I'm using my keyboard right now, up arrow and down arrow. And I'll use the enter key here. Let's go to the audio packages page. And there it is. I've moved to another page where we talk about audio stuff. To go back to the preceding page, I use the left arrow. Cool beans. Now, this is the first page I open. If I do left arrow from here, there's nothing to go back to. I'm stuck on this web page for the moment. I'll show you how to deal with that. But to get out of there, what you have to do is Q to quit. You really want to do this? No, I don't want to do this because I also want to use my mouse. So how about we go over to combo packages? I clicked on it. This is a text utility that supports mouse. And now we're in the PA and lighting combo packages page. I don't know. There we go. Okay, right click to go back or left keyboard. If I've gone back a couple pages and I want to return forward, I can select go forward. I can use the letter U. I can bookmark, right? Cool stuff here. If I got tabs open, I can close the tab. It wasn't a tab, it was the whole thing. So, all right. So that's basic e-links. And I can use that to view the text content of a web server. And I can look at or save its contents and highlight and mark. So nice stuff. Now, how about something a little more interactive? How about we head over to google.com. E-links, google.com. All right, so I'm using right and left arrows here, and it's not doing what I expect it to do. That's because this requires, in order to move from option to option, the down arrow. And what I want to do is a Google search, of course. So I'm on the Google page. I just keep down arrowing until I get to here. And in order to input data, I have to enter. Whoops. You're going to make me do all that again. All right, I've entered on that. And now let's stop it. There we go. I had to enter to get in the input mode. So now let's look up hamsters. And I'll arrow down to Google search, or I could have used my mouse. Enter. Hey, is this where you really want to go? And this is the search you really want to perform? Yes, it is. Enter. And here's all my hits. goldenhamster.com and europeanhamsters.com. And if you highlight one and click on it, it takes you to the site. So you're using e-links on that site. Back arrow takes me back to the previous page. But again, it says, hey, do you want to get there by the link that you had in there? Yes, I do. And again, to get out of here, it's Q to quit. Not surprisingly, there's a lot more. But all I wanted to do with this with you today was to introduce you to it, to show you the possibilities, the capabilities of being able to access web pages from the command line with utilities like curl, wget, Googler, something maybe that somebody will improve on or fix or bring back up. E-links is the big dog of the day. These are some of the command line utilities you can use to get or post to a web server like Hamster. We posted that. They've got different intended uses. They got different features. They got different functions. They all, for the most part, have help pages and man pages. So if you're working to learn to manage Linux host, you're going to live in the command line. And so even if you're interested in a graphical world, such as web pages, we can use command line utilities to extract needed information from those graphical worlds. E-links, the big dog player in this arena. There's a lot more that it can do than we've shown here. Install it, then use your favorite search engine to look up details and examples on how to use it. And here endeth the lesson with 20 minutes to go. So I'm a very happy guy. I love that utility. Now that I've learned about it, I will be using it a lot more. All right, let's see what's happened in the chat feed. Reading messages here, passing 17 minutes past the hour. Everyone needs an animated Mario walking on the screen for announcement video loops. Fast internet. There you go. Some of these I don't need to read out loud. They're just humorous. I just shot past Heavy D's. Heavy D had execute and pass. It was delete. Abu Bakr, okay, everybody's congratulating. There's where I left off. I left off at 321. My Blue Lantern. I've never won. 3 chances a week. Excuse me, 3 chances a week, bud. Keep trying. You'll get it. And if you point that out to Mike before he does his contest, he has this nudge way of making sure that people who've never won do well. FTP. Will this work on Mac Terminal? I have every reason to believe that it would. You can install deb packages on Mac terminals and DNFs. So yes, I would think that I can't, don't hold me to that and don't put my feet in the fire about it. But the answer is try. $324 Scott S talking to Blue Lantern. Make sure your feed is live before the question is asked. I was 2 seconds behind. Scott, I think you won more recently than whoever won. Sorry, I've already forgotten. Xerxes, yeah. Reading here. Check your views. Does post and get transfer data from client to server? So get goes from the client to the server and it's a request. Please send me content. Post sends information that the web server is waiting for so that it can do something. That make sense? There you go. Xerxes answered the same thing. Grabs data from web servers about a website. That's what get does. You can find files that aren't necessarily on the web crawler list of Google. That's true, but you got to know about them or know a way to find them. Durbuster also works for that, unless I'm confusing things. Oh yeah, that was the other thing I let go. You can use e-links to access local resources. It doesn't just have to be a web server. It can be an SMB file or an SMB shared folder. It's got a lot more power and capability. Durbuster. All right, you got me intrigued and I got a little bit of time. I'm going to find out what Durbuster is. Oh, and I'm going to post a link for you while I'm looking that up. Let me look this up here real quick. Here is a site where I started to learn e-links. So let's call this the e-links info and demo page. All right. Did I hit the enter key? Yeah. Durbuster for Kali Linux. Oh, okay. It's a Kali tool. Multi-threaded Java application designed to brute force directories and file names on web apps or web and application servers. All right. Not familiar with it directly. Part of a pen test process. So you got to have access first. I think this falls under a different category, huh? All right, I see things winding down here. If you got any other comments, questions, or whatever, now's the time because I'm going to start doing the wind up. How are we doing on time here? 46. Yeah, that's fine. No problem with bailing out just a little on the early side. It is Friday night. I was going to launch on the grand 10-hour drive up to Lubbock and see the kid this weekend and watch a football game. And then we looked at the temperature and they have an open stadium. We said, no, we're going to do cold. He can't come home for Thanksgiving. So we're getting tickets for the Thanksgiving game up there. And we'll go up and we'll be in the cold, but we've got more prep time and can bring some other goodies up. what's Thanksgiving is Thursday this year. I will leave right after the show. Or yeah, I'll leave Wednesday night. We'll be up there Thursday. I will work on Friday. Friday is not a holiday for us. So the missus and the kid will kill the day together while I work from our hotel room. Yeah, that's on Thursday on Thanksgiving. We'll be there. I'm sorry, that's on Friday. So I'll work that day and then we'll spend the rest of the weekend up there and then come back down home Sunday night. Working on Black Friday. Yes, I am. But I will be, bet me no shopping for Dave. Every year I have done very well picking up Raspberry Pi support goodies. And this year I don't expect to be an exception to that. Xerxes is all happy he won. He's going to be typing in a lot more. Now he's actually pretty vociferous. All right, well, let's close things down a little bit here. Upcoming, what have we got here? Did I finish up that? Yeah, nothing time permitting, nothing that. So upcoming episodes, we mentioned some of these in the past. Somebody tripped my trigger the other day and asked a question about Magic Mirror. When you talk to somebody who has just been exposed, not brand spanking new, but they've heard about it for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, there are two projects that they've heard about. One of them is RetroPie. We've done RetroPie. Probably these days, by far and away, the most popular, simple, easy to do, and things that have the greatest interest. The other one is a Magic Mirror. And so it's, you know what, we've never done a Magic Mirror. Let's do it. And for those of you who aren't familiar, and since I do have a little bit of time to kill, let me tell you just a little bit about what a Magic Mirror is. This is the 70s and maybe 80s view of the future. The theory is you get up in the morning or whenever you get up and you get yourself ready for life. And at some point before you leave, you're in front of the mirror, taking care of the hair and shaving and all that other good stuff. And this would be a good time to get your daily dose of initial information. So right there in your mirror is data. There's a crash on Route 64. Doesn't hurt me, I don't use 64. There's also a slowdown. Oh, okay, that's good to know. Gallagher passed away yesterday. No more smash, right? All kinds of news feeds and whatever else tickles your fancy. And it kind of shows up ghost-like in your mirror while you're doing your business, so you can multitask. Well, it's been implemented, and it was done back then, but it's so easy and so cool to do with a Raspberry Pi. It's not free. So what you need are basically 5 things, plus the usual power supply and all that good stuff. You need a Ras Pi. You need a program. The program of choice here in 2022 is called Magic Mirror 2. Very easy to get. And that's going to be your information aggregator, and it'll put it on the screen and you can organize what goes on your screen where. You need a screen. Now that's tricky part number 1, because the perfect screen is a flat screen. I forgot to put this on my desk. I did want to talk about this. Stand by. Counting, counting, counting. I'm only 4 steps away from what I want you to have. All right, there are several ways to get a flat screen. One is to get a screen that has no frame, or more importantly, no bezel. This one has a tiny little bezel. I can't see what I'm looking at here. Let me bring this page up here. Okay. So this will lay marvelously lovely flat. You can also get a traditional monitor, but it's going to have a bezel on it, right? It's going to be a certain thickness that comes out from the thing. Take it off. Use whatever tools are necessary. Don't destroy the monitor. But what you want is this is going to go up against a piece of mirrored glass, and the flatter that you get it on there, the better. Another way to do it is with a big monitor, like that old 32-inch TV screen that you don't use anymore. So do it the other way around. Instead of taking the bezel off of that big monitor, that big screen, you get a piece of mirror that fits beautifully within the bezel. Okay. All right. So you're going to need a screen. You're going to need two-way glass, a two-way mirror. And the way a two-way mirror works is you light up one side of it, and the lit up side becomes a mirror. The other side that's unlit becomes glass. It's not perfect. It's a little dark, but it works. And then you need a frame. And of course, you got to have an internet connection, Wi-Fi or whatever. And so what you do now is you construct it. This is the other piece. The mirrored glass, it's not horribly inexpensive. It's also not horribly expensive. They sell it in 12 by 12s and 3 by 6s for fairly cheap, 10, 20, 30 bucks. When you start getting into a 32-inch piece of glass, it's going to fit into a 32-inch monitor. You may be looking at give or take 250 bucks. So they also make two-way acrylic film, and I haven't dug into that yet. Obviously, it's a lot less expensive. I don't know how good it looks. And the basic construction here says you're going to build a frame to hold the mirror glass. Then you have to build a method to mount your monitor on the back of there. So the mirrored glass doesn't have to be the same size as the monitor. How about I have a piece of mirrored glass that's, I don't know. Here, let's see if I can do this without destroying something. Here's my mirror. And now I mount my monitor on my mirror like that. And so, I got this, it's all mirrored. I'm going to see myself very well in the mirror, and ghostly on this side of the monitor will be the contents of whatever I put on the screen. So you can have a small screen. It just only takes up a little bit of real estate on your monitor, or you can have a big screen that takes up all the real estate. And usually this information is textual, but you can put on whatever you like. All right, so I got my glass, I've got my monitor, I need a frame, and I need that frame because I need some lighting on the mirrored side, some LED strips. So that will make the mirror work like a mirror when I'm looking at it, but the screen contents will show through from the back, and that's what makes the whole thing magic. So we're going to do that. You're going to have to bring in your carpentry skills or your plastic working skills or your 3D printing if you want to do this. There's a zillion ideas out there on the web, and it's just a lot of fun, a lot of coolness to it. All right, that killed a lot of time. I'm going to get done here time. I mentioned last week I found a nice, cool project where we're going to take a speaker, connect it to a Raspberry Pi, and turn the whole Raspberry Pi and speaker unit into a Bluetooth speaker. So it's not going to connect to the speaker via Bluetooth. It becomes a whole Bluetooth unit. That should be kind of cool. Did some fun astrophotography this week because we had that lunar eclipse on Tuesday. I posted one picture to the Discord channel. I guess I should have, I got time to post all the links up again too one more time. Okay, there is the specials of the week link. Here is the Discord invitation. Here's my web server with today's notes and stuff on it. And the last two, if you want to communicate with Dave outside of Discord or this YouTube chat feed, here's my email addresses. And here's my LinkedIn profile. All right, we're done with that. Ooh, we're going to need this. All right, so we got astrophotography coming up. We've got a project that I'm really looking forward to. I got plenty on my plate here, but I want to do this Apache web server. I want to do the, I want to make it accessible via DDNS and get an encryption certificate on it. So that should wind things up pretty well. Any last minute questions, comments that I missed? Yeah, I said something about doing a magic mirror, and somebody, wherever I posted it, said, the only thing I know about magic mirrors, oh, Mike said this on his show, is Miss Sally on Romper Room. Yeah, so I made that joke too, Andre. A curved mirror, a curved monitor is not a good tool for a magic mirror. Now, it might work out fine with the film stuff. I don't know. Am I going to the Lions game? I am not going to the Lions game. I built RetroPie, says Andre. Oh, yeah. I love my RetroPie when I get time to play with it. Tuesday, I think, is next time I get time. No. When you look in your magic mirror, you have to say Biggie Smalls 3 times. Puff the magic mirror. That was, sorry, I can't give kudos to that. Astros photography. Yeah, I heard the Astros won. My family's big into it. I had a crisis on the last game of the World Series. Company called up and said, this has to be done. It's got to be done tonight. I didn't get to watch the game. I killed 4 hours doing this project that had to be done. I was the only one who could do it. Well, that's life. They pay me. I count my blessings. Okay, I'm done. It's been fun. Mike's doing a regular show on Monday. On Wednesday, he'll have Steve Nicholson on. They together will discuss the scope of Active Directory, AD, in the new 11.0x exams. And I firmed this up yesterday. Anything is subject to change, but we do have at least tentatively firm dates. Doug Jones, who's one of the engineers for the network on the International Space Station, will join Mike on November 30th. Man, I had the date written down on here and I've changed something, but I can fix that. November 30th. Save that. I don't want to give away any of his stories. I've known Doug for a long time. We've spent a lot of time on the phone lately, and our families go out to dinner and other events together. You're really going to enjoy him. Let me tell you one thing about him. He's a retired Air Force major, and he's 6'7". So I'm not going to put him in the studio with Mike. We're going to do a Zoom connection because Mike's camera couldn't show Mike here and Doug there in the same frame. I don't think they love that. All right, well, let's wind this thing up. It's been ever so much fun, as always. My gratitude as ever and always to Mike Myers, everybody at Total and National Cyber Group, who so generously provide us with resources and time for us to get together here every week. My most heartfelt thanks goes to you and everyone who comes here to participate. This has been and ever will be David Rush. I am the senior instructor at Total Seminars and resident Pi specialist, wishing you a great weekend. Take care of each other, take serious steps to stay healthy, and if at all possible, call or visit your parents. And never forget, technology is great, but the greatest resource we have are you and I. And with that, I bid you good night. I'll pop over to Discord in a few minutes, and we'll see you on the AMAs next week. Until then, I am out of here.